Everyone. Just give it a few seconds for people to join in. Welcome, everyone, wherever you are joining us from. This is the info session for Climb Analytics with the Chang School. My name is Bashir Chaudhry. I'm the manager of recruitment and sales. Before we get started, I'd like to acknowledge the land on which Toronto Metropolitan University is built upon. Toronto is in the Dish with One Spoon territory. The Dish with One Spoon is a treaty between the Anishinaabe, Mississaugas, and Haudenosaunee that bound them to share the territory and protect the land. I thank the Indigenous people of Turtle Island for their efforts to protect the land, and I deeply regret the past injustices they have endured. As Toronto Metropolitan University seeks to move forward in partnership with Indigenous peoples, I pledge to foster an environment that is more inclusive and welcoming of Indigenous peoples from all communities. Now, I'd like to go over a few items so you know how to participate in today's session. Your microphone is muted throughout the event so as not to disturb other attendees or the presenters. For the hearing impaired, we have automated captioning available, which you can access by activating it in the toolbar at the bottom of your screen. You can submit your questions for today's speakers at any time by typing them into the question box in your control panel, and we'll collect them throughout the session and address them at the end of the presentation. Now, before we invite our guests, I'd like to run a quick poll just to get everything started. And yeah, we just want to know what motivated you to consider this certificate today. What are your goals and motivations, right? Is it career change, career advancement, skill building for a current role, personal interest, or others? So we'll leave that on for just a couple of seconds. And thank you for participating. It really helps us give feedback to our team and also to our speakers here. So it looks like career advancement and career change, as usual, are leading. Let me end that and share the results. So yeah, as you can see, career advancement, career change are the top ones, but we also have some personal interest, which is always good to see, and then followed by others. So thank you again for taking part in that. And thank you for taking doing this poll with us because, like I said, right, it really helps us with the feedback for the team. Okay, so now I would like to invite our presenters for today. First, we have lecturer and academic coordinator of the Chang School, Raymond Garrison. And we also have Ian Williams, who is with the Toronto Police and also a lecturer at the Chang School. They will share a quick overview of the certificate to go over some of the skills that you can develop from this and share that with you. Welcome, Ian and Raymond.
Thank you very much, Monsieur. So I'm going to start off with some quick facts about the Crime Analytics Certificate. It is fully online. You can complete it completely online. I'll talk more about that a little later on. There are 6 courses in total for the certificate, 5 required courses, and you have 1 elective. And there are many different electives that you can choose from to orient your certificate toward your interests. It usually takes anywhere between 12 and 16 months to complete the certificate. 12 months meaning 3 terms, or 16 months, 4 terms. But you do have up to 4 years to take the 6 courses. And the payment for the courses is per course. So once you register, you pay just for that course. So that's why the costs vary depending on the courses that you choose to take. So somewhere between $4,000 and $4,500 for the entire certificate program. Next slide, please. So why learn GIS? Well, GIS, or Geographic Information Systems, is an increasingly important planning tool in all sectors in society because everything is spatial. It's not only important to know what's happening in the world, but where it's happening and where it's happening relative to other things. So GIS allows you to layer data on interactive maps so that you get a visual impression of the interrelationships among variables in a specific area. I'll give you a quick example. We're all familiar with the COVID global pandemic we just went through. So GIS was employed to look at vaccination rates and the locations of vaccination centers in order to decide whether or not more centers should be open. Maybe if vaccination rates were low in a particular area, perhaps some of the vaccination centers should be 24 hours. So this information was continuously updated and acted upon immediately. And the types of GIS analysis that you'll do in the crime analytics certificate and when you're in the job market will feed directly into policy decision making, such as that. So GIS, as it says here, feeds directly into decision making processes and development of policy response options. So you can get a snapshot of what's out there, or you can also see trends over time. Going back to my COVID example, you would look at a series of maps to see how things have changed over time and then plan from there. Next slide, please. So I'm going to pass it over to Ian, who is one of the top experts that we have who teaches in the Crime Analytics Certificate program, to discuss several aspects of the program, starting off with trends in crime analytics. Over to you, Ian.
Thanks, Raymond, and hi, everyone. I'm just going to highlight a few of the ways in which we're seeing growth in job opportunities related to this field. And so we do see, as Raymond mentioned, GIS and spatial analytics certificate in particular, we are seeing this across all Canadian jurisdictions. And so as we really see that showing up at municipalities like Toronto to much smaller areas like Brandon, Manitoba, there's a big increase in different planning departments, in community housing, transit, as well as in public safety, like policing roles as well, showing up as career opportunities where crime analytics plays a pretty substantial role. We're also seeing, in a slightly broader perspective, different areas like in the private sector, financial institutions, insurance organizations who have financial analysts, anti-money laundering analysts, intelligence analysts. And although they might not necessarily call them crime analysts, they are looking at different types of crime and working in those fields as well. And we're seeing that expanding into other private sector organizations as well. So if you think about some of the large retailers and their loss prevention, they're hiring more and more analysts in that field as well, who are using these types of skills that you gain through here. And we also, as you'll note here, we have graduates who are working in the government and private sector. I would add to that some of the not-for-profit sector or non-governmental sectors as well. So we do see different community-based agencies who are hiring different analysts that would apply these skill sets. So we can move on to the next slide. Some of the things that you'll learn with us that'll help prepare you for roles in those areas. The first is, what are the career paths? And we do spend time as you get into the certificate showing like what are the career paths out there and how do you move from one role to another? How do those skill sets progress? How do you network and who's out there that you can start connecting with now? We also recognize that community safety and well-being is a multi-sector opportunity. So whereas you might envision a career in one of those organizations, such as policing, where those career opportunities will take you will vary in quite a number of different sectors and possibly areas you've never even thought about before. The program itself supports this because it's a multidisciplinary program. So you get access to courses and professors with criminology courses, sociology, psychology, and geography. And we bring all those together because they're necessary to be able to bring problem solving, technical skills, and critical assessment skills to whatever role you're pursuing in the future. Centrally, though, of course, and as Raymond highlighted very well, the hands-on GIS is a core part of the program. So you develop skill sets, experience, and portfolios in relation to your using spatial data and geospatial tools to produce maps, web applications, spatial analysis, briefing notes, presentations, all using that data to help organizations make strategic and in some cases tactical decisions as well. And so we'll move on to the next slide. Just some examples that help show what you'll gain and some of the examples of products that you'll be making throughout the program. So a lot of trend and pattern analysis. Spatial data inherently involves this. We also do dashboarding, data visualization that doesn't necessarily have a map involved, but dovetails perfectly with a spatial analysis to help demonstrate what the results of a trend are, or to help make recommendations in terms of how do you address that. So if there's a break and enter series and you've been able to identify where those locations are, the next logical step is to make recommendations about how to deal with that. And sometimes those are recommendations for one or more organizations, and sometimes those are things that can occur over an extended period of time. We do use real data, so all of the data in the program is real crime data, and we find those from police organizations. Toronto is central in that because of the amount of data that Toronto Police makes available, as well as the other open data that you'll find across the city. But we are increasingly getting access to other real crime data to help with that. Moving on to our next slide, some of the skills development. So we do design the certificate and the courses to get you skills that are relevant for the job market. And in light of that, we focus on a few different software tools as well as broader data management skills. And so being able to work with various data sets, sometimes data that needs some work to get it prepared, sometimes data that has data quality issues, you get hands-on skills working with that so that the data becomes usable for the approach that you need to do. You will get experience delivering presentations. You do that in a number of different ways with your colleagues, with your instructor. You get feedback in terms of that, and you're using cutting edge technology in order to do that. We do use a number of different GIS programs. Centrally, we use ArcGIS, which is the industry standard. So of course, we focus on this, but we also bring in open source GIS, so tools that you would have available to you today, for example. And importantly, ArcGIS Pro, which is the most robust GIS tool in the market, and ArcGIS Online, which is how we make web applications combined with the analysis that we do in ArcGIS Pro. And those essentially become tools that you can share, you can show off to your friends and family or other future colleagues potentially down the road, some of the work that you're doing. You can post these things on LinkedIn and really showcase some of the work that you do through the program. And all of that you can use the Toronto Metropolitan University virtual desktop, which not only gives you access to these GIS tools, but a whole series of other spatial and non-spatial data analytics, and Word, Microsoft platform, different automation tools. Really, it's a very powerful GIS and analytics lab that you have accessible to no matter where you are. And so I think with that, I'll pass it over to Raymond to discuss a little bit more. Unless I'm doing this one, Raymond, am I on this one still?
Yeah, you can do that one.
Okay. So Raymond will help me if I miss anything. And so just looking at, again, emphasizing the use of real data from a variety of sources, because this is key in any analytical role that you undertake. You need to be able to use the data, make the data applicable for the analysis that you're undertaking, and then you have to be able to tell that story. And so we do very practically run through that in a number of different ways. And so we have a lot of opportunity for creative thinking and creative presentation of the results of your analysis. So different ways, not only through mapping, but through different data visualization, including infographics, story maps, web applications. So a lot of really cool ways that the industry expects you to be able to deliver. And of course, you get networking opportunities. So throughout the program, again, it's online, of course, but as we're working on this, all of the classes are designed to be networked. So you will be connecting with your colleagues, you'll work together to solve problems, you'll be sharing a lot of your experiences, and there'll be a high level of collaboration so that when you finish either a given course or the entire certificate, you've also got a network. And a network of students who are graduating along with you, as well as your instructors along the way, because all of the instructors are also industry professionals. They'll help with your networking. You also get access to the TMU Career Center, which does give opportunities for a whole series of student resources to support future career growth. Now I'll pass it over to Raymond.
Thanks so much, Ian. That was fantastic. So, who should take this certificate? Well, those looking to upgrade their skills or make a career change. You do not have to have prior experience with GIS or statistics. You just have to know how to use your computer. As Ian had mentioned, the software is available on our virtual desktop, and that cost of the software is included in the course cost. There's no additional fee there. It's also appropriate for recent university graduates starting out in the GIS industry. You can come to this from any discipline as long as you have some sort of, well, you don't actually need a post-secondary degree or certificate in order to take this certificate. You can actually take it straight out of high school. But recent university graduates also find it very valuable, particularly since it'll enhance their skill set over and above the degree that they have. And also those new to Canada looking to build a new career, because there are many, many opportunities in this field, as Ian was saying earlier. So by completing this certificate, you'll be able to apply your extensive practical experience in GIS mapping, data analysis, and decision support, and understand criminal justice policing and criminal behavior, and understand the role of the crime analyst in evidence-based policing and the uses and misuses of data. So you'll have quite an elaborate skill set and quite a lot of experience in applying the various techniques that you will learn. Next slide, please. So I'm going to pass it back to Ian to talk about, I'm going to talk about the certificate course structure first, and then I'm going to talk about pass it back to Ian to talk about the capstone course, which is really exciting. So the course structure, as I said, involves 6 courses. It's designed to be completed around your schedule. So it is a part-time program, okay? And you can complete the entire certificate online. And it's a blend of synchronous and asynchronous components. So you'll have a series of modules for each of the courses that you take. The modules will involve some instruction, small assignments, self-tests, and so forth. So the knowledge that you gain as you take the courses is incremental. So you can enter this without knowing anything about GIS, and particularly in the first 2 courses, one of which Ian teaches, you'll walk step by step, and your knowledge will be incremental. You'll be sort of testing yourself at the end of each module, and by the end of the course, you'll say, wow, this has been a very clear path. I'm sure you'll think that. Okay, so as I say, there's 5 required courses and 1 elective, and the required courses are there. One of them is in criminology, violence in communities. It's an excellent course. And as I said earlier, you can take up to 4 years to complete the certificate, but most students complete it in 3 or 4 terms. And if you're unsure if this is the path you want to take, I urge you to try CODG 101 and CODG 102, the first 2 introductory courses. And they'll give you a real broad flavor of GIS, okay, and the various softwares you use and various applications that you can engage in. Next slide, please. Now I'm going to pass it back to Ian to talk about the capstone course. Ian.
Thanks, Raymond. So really two pieces to the capstone. And I think these are some of the, from a crime analytics perspective, most interesting aspects to the certificate. And they build upon each other. So CODC 910 is spatial methods in crime analysis, which really brings in a lot of your understanding of the industry, the work related to various careers, and then using real data to do both strategic and tactical analysis. In this course, you're also producing briefing notes, presentations, and delivering a series of high quality data insights. This is your first step towards the larger project, which is the final course. So CODC 911 is the project where you'll have taken what you've learned through the certificate to that point. You'll identify a project opportunity, something that interests you, whether it's from a career perspective, whether it's in understanding or trying to solve a real community issue. And you'll work with the instructor, in this case, that would be me, to try to scope that to ensure that it's achievable within a one semester time period and that it brings in the right level of spatial analysis and other psychology, criminology, sociology-based foundations to be able to apply that to a real-world problem. And in doing so, you'll produce spatial products like maps, web mapping applications, and insights to make final recommendations on how to address those challenges. And so these are designed to be very practical and also, again, something that you can showcase to either a current or future employer to demonstrate, here's what you can do with your skill sets. And here's one example or a series of examples, depending on the nature of the project. And so I think fascinating work, always very topical. Today, for example, students would be working on auto thefts, home invasions, gun violence related projects. And it's always very topical. So there's changes every semester to some issue that undoubtedly is hitting headlines in media and interesting for students as well.
Thank you, Ian. So I'm going to just cover a few of the program highlights in summary. So it offers practical training and theoretical education you need for a successful career as a GIS professional. As I said, you engage in small hands-on activities and assignments, as well as the capstone course that Ian just reviewed. And Ian had mentioned earlier, you develop a portfolio of work that you can take with you to employers to actually show the type of work that you've done. Okay. And you do this throughout the courses that you take. So, and our instructors like Ian are highly motivated, experienced and industry professionals and academic leaders in GIS who will guide you every step of the way. And Ian, I'll just draw you back in for just this last point on the slide, because this is the award that you had developed.
Happy to. Thanks, Raymond. This is an award which is designed for students excelling in the certificate and being able to look forward to help support those students as they're burgeoning community safety and well-being analytics leaders. Really just, again, to help support the work, to help encourage students to pursue this line of study and this career path. And it's an award that's available every semester for students who are undertaking studies in this space. And so really happy to bring that to the program and to students studying in it.
Next slide, please. So just to conclude, I want to mention that once you have the basis in GIS, there are many other career options that you could pursue. We have another certificate called the Applied Digital Geography and GIS certificate, which there'll be a presentation on that on Friday. And some of the career sectors that are increasingly using GIS include urban and land use planning, infrastructure, utility assessment and planning, retail location analysis, environmental management, marketing, social services, health services, as I mentioned earlier, transportation, and banking and finance. Particularly the crime analytics certificate fits in well with banking and finance as well. So next slide, please. So I'm going to pass it back to Mashur.
Thank you so much for that. That was a really comprehensive overview of the whole certificate, and thank you for taking us both, taking us through it by the both of you. Now it's my pleasure to introduce one of the previous graduates of this certificate and a divisional crime analyst at Hamilton Police, Travis Johnson. Travis will share a little bit about his experience with the course and how he landed his role with Hamilton Police. Welcome, Travis.
Thank you. I'd just like to start by thanking everyone for attending the presentation. My name is Travis Johnston. As was mentioned, I'm a graduate of the Crime Analytics Certificate Program. I graduated in 2024. I'm currently a divisional crime analyst with Hamilton Police Service, and I've been in my role for about a year and a half now. In my role, I review and analyze crime trends in Division 3 in Hamilton. So Hamilton's broken up into 3 divisions. Each has their own analyst. So in my role, I am responsible for understanding crime and disorder in my division and liaising with the other divisional analysts to determine any citywide crime trends. I also provide investigative support to various units within Hamilton, including our HEAT team. So would be like undercover operations, as well as CIB, so Criminal Investigations Branch. So that's any detectives working on more complex investigations. Some of the work I would produce for them would involve analyzing cell tower data, tracker data, whether that be on a phone or a car, as well as creating heat maps of auto theft recovery and theft locations, so to determine any trends in location or cool down spots for vehicles. Also making social network charts, and that to illustrate complex organized criminality. I also liaise with outside agencies throughout Ontario, and that's through the Ontario Crime Analyst Network, so OCAN, and that I would liaise with them on crime trends that occur across province or the country. Within our service, there's various analysts. There's intel analysts, which focus on organized crime groups, and unit-specific analysts, such as homicide, break and enter, auto theft, and robbery, as well as strategic analysts, which look at operational efficiencies of the service. So they would answer questions such as, are divisional boundaries most efficiently drawn, and where can we make any changes as a service to be most successful and most efficient? The Crime Analytics Certificate Program provides a real great hands-on, real-world experience. As has been mentioned, you're using publicly available data. The work you complete will be directly transferable to the workforce. Experience you'll gain in cleaning data, so information is rarely received in a usable format. A lot of the requests I get is just an email with an Excel sheet, and I'm told just to make sense of it. So you get a lot of experience with that in the program. This program gives key skills required to format data, essential to conduct analysis. So a little bit of history with my role in my current role. I had applied to Hamilton Police in early 2023 and was unsuccessful in getting the role. I had several years analytical experience as a fraud analyst with RBC, but lacked technical support in GIS. I then, as I'm sure many of you did, researched educational programs that focused on crime analytics and found this through TMU and enrolled in the certificate program to round out my experience. The education around the technical software, primarily ArcGIS, was hugely beneficial to me. So I applied again to Hamilton about a year later and was successful in obtaining my role. I feel that the education I gained through the certificate was instrumental to my success. The tools and techniques I learned are ones I use daily in my role. There is a steep learning curve with some of these programs, but as has been mentioned, they're taught in a very gradual method. So you'll really be amazed by the progress you make from the start of even one course to the end of that course. Also, has been mentioned, the great networking. So you're in a program with like-minded individuals. While the program is largely focused on crime analysis, tools and methods can be widely applied to a variety of analyst roles. Crime analytics is definitely a growing sector. There are always roles being posted within police services. Police services are really seeing a benefit to data-led policing and the importance of analytics, and continue to add and expand to these positions. I know currently 2026 budgets are being presented by police services to their boards and then city councils. So we're going to likely see even more postings in the near future. That's it for me.
Thank you so much, Travis. That last thing you shared about the 2026 budget, it's very interesting to hear. And it's because, we've already gotten questions regarding how crime analytics has changed in 2025. So, with that, I will end the presentation section of the session today and open it up for a Q&A. And maybe we can start with that question. Travis, maybe you can start, and then Ian and Raymond can chime in. So yeah, how has crime analytics changed in 2025 with everything that's happening around the world?
I can definitely answer that. So it's definitely, there's a lot of changes and challenges, new technologies we're seeing, always having to stay on top of trends. And I think it's important, as I've mentioned several times, just the networking. So it's reaching out to different services, seeing the trends, seeing the different MOs criminals are using, and just applying that to your service. And just it's always trying to be one step ahead. It's a difficult task.
I think maybe just to add to that and highlight Travis's earlier comments, that the skill sets are in demand. Organizations need crime analysts more than ever. I only see that growing. There's an expectation that decisions are made based on data-informed analysis. And, just watching Travis's role and hearing some of the things that he's undertaking, and, the expectation that organizations are going to have more of that is present. So a lot more demand. There's also more data. So there's more data than ever, and more complex data, faster moving data. And so there's a shift there just in terms of the expected speed of decisions. We used to do, kind of high level annual planning cycles, and that's not the expectation anymore. It's faster paced than this. And so there's a lot of very real time decisions that need to get made as well.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I totally agree. It is fast paced and everything is data based now. So yeah, I can understand why it would be growing. Okay, so next question is this certificate course eligible for those who graduated with the major in criminology? And if so, is there a fast track system for those who may have completed the course, such as violence in communities? So, is there like a transfer credit option or anything like that?
So I'll take that. Yes, it is most definitely suitable for someone with a degree in criminology. Many of the people who apply to the course have undergraduate degrees in criminology. You can apply for transfer credits if you've taken other GIS courses, or if you have taken something in criminology that is parallel to CODG CREM 318, which is the course you're referring to. You can apply for a transfer credit, and it's adjudicated by the criminology department itself for equivalency. But just contact me and I'll send you the appropriate form. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, and we'll provide our contact information right after this. So any questions that you have or anything else that you want to ask, you can always email me directly or Raymond and Ian. I just want to read out this one question just for everybody else. I know it was answered in text. So the course CODG 910 doesn't appear to be offered in the next 2 terms. Do you know when it'll be offered next? And the answer to that is, it is being offered for spring, summer 2026. That's the next time when it's running. It runs from May 4th to July 31st. So just to let you know and everybody else know that as well.
I'm just going to comment on that each term, which courses will run, is decided by the chair of geography and also by the criminology department, the psychology department. Courses come from various departments, and they'll decide which courses run. But our two introductory courses, CODG 101 and 102, are offered every single term. Okay. And we offer 9, 10, and 9, 11, the combined capstone. Alternately in fall and winter, but we offer both of them in the spring summer term. Okay, so there's a lot of opportunity to take the courses in succession, right? The reason I said earlier that you can complete it in 3 to 4 terms, you may have to take 4 terms because maybe you need 9, 10, and it's not offered, right? In the term where you're ready to take it. So then you'll take it the following term and then 9, 11 the next term, right? It's because you have to take those 2 courses and they're not offered every term. As I said, 9, 10, 9, 11 alternate fall and winter. And in spring, summer, we try to offer both of them.
Awesome. Thank you, Raymond, for making that clear. Next question, let's move on to the next one from Shweta Sagar. Thank you, Shweta, for your question. It's I currently work as a programmer analyst in a bank, data analysis using cloud and Power BI. Will this program be beneficial if I want to change my career to crime analysis? So I think that's a yes, but I'm sure you can elaborate a little bit more.
Travis, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, it'd be hugely beneficial. We use Power BI a lot for dashboards, frontline officers. I've heard a lot of feedback that really that's a great way to get across the data in a usable and readable method. So having that experience with Power BI combined with the experience with ARC that you would get through this program, I think would make you a very successful or have really round out your experience.
Yeah, it's definitely an added skill, an added feather to your cap for sure.
Agreed. And I think it's Travis was in the fraud group at the bank before moving to crime analytics and the police agency. So you're obviously not far off from a career pathing plan there.
Brilliant. Thank you. Okay, so next question is, how beneficial is this certificate for those who want to do investigative research or open source intelligence, maybe as a private investigator? From Praneeth. Thank you for your question, Praneeth.
I can touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead.
So data visualization, you're finding new data sources. In some cases, those are open source data, and being able to do analysis with them that is applicable, whether for a private investigation field or other community safety and well-being opportunities. And I'll pause there, but Travis, I'm sure, could jump in there too.
I think any leveraging of technology that you'll be able to use in your investigations will be beneficial to any career path, kind of tangentially related to crime analysis.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, so next question, changing gears a little bit, is about the courses. So someone wants to know if you can talk a little bit about getting into the initial courses to try, and then I'll combine that with another question, which is, are the courses more theory-based or practical skills-based or a blend of both? So if you can talk a little bit about the initial courses, and then, the content, if they're more theory-based or practical skills-based. So yeah, maybe Ian and Raymond, you can both touch on that a little bit.
Well, I'll take the first half with respect to getting into the initial courses. The usual path is to enroll in the crime analytics certificate, and then you would be granted permission to enter CODG 101 or 102, the two introductory courses. You can take them both together if you want to take two courses. Those would be the first two courses you would take, or in any order. So you could take 102 before 101, however you want to do it. Okay. Um, if you're really unsure, then you can take just a single course per term. As I say, you have 12 terms, right? To do it. Um, and only 6 courses to do. Now, in order to enroll without enrolling in their certificate, you would send me an email. Just send me an email saying, I want to try out a course. I want to try CODG 102. Can you please have a permission set up? Then what I would do is contact the Chang School, and you'll get a confirmation email saying that you have permission to enroll. And then you just log in, enroll, and then pay. You have to pay upon enrollment. Okay? So it's as simple as that. Just send me an email saying, I don't want to enroll in the certificate right now, but I do want to try a course. So, and then I'll help set that up for you. Now, if you do want to enroll in the certificate at a later date, you must do it before you can enter your 4th course. So you can complete half the certificate, 3 courses, and then you must enroll in the certificate. If you go to 4, then you cannot. If you complete 4, then you cannot. Okay. So you have up to that point. You could take the first 2 introductory courses, even a 3rd course, and not be in the certificate, and then add yourself in. So that flexibility is there if you're unsure.
I think for 910 and 911, I would recommend doing them in order. I think what you learn in 910 is really important to apply subsequently in 911. I do know 1 or 2 students who've done them at the same time, but they either came with a lot of background already in spatial analysis, or possibly they've been working in the industry already and they were able to do those. But generally, I'm going to recommend doing them in order. So 910 first and then 911 afterwards.
Mashur, can you repeat the second half of that question? There was
Yeah,
a question
yep,
about
it's
course
right
structure.
there. Yep, it's are the courses more theory-based, practical skills-based, or a blend of both?
It is a blend of both, but I'm sure that Ian can speak to that a little bit more.
Yeah, certainly a blend. In order to do a spatial analysis of crime, you need to understand some criminology theory, psychology theory, sociology theory, as well as some geography theory. Understanding how things are related to each other in geographic areas is really important to know what's the spatial analysis method I should use for this and how to interpret it and how to understand what it is you're interpreting. It's really easy to make a hotspot map, but to make a proper hotspot map and interpret it in a way that someone should make a decision based is not so easy. And so these are where some of the theory comes in, but it's all through practice. So if you're asked to learn theory, it's because you're about to apply it, or we're asking you to learn those 2 things at the same time so that you can understand how to interpret this.
And I'll
Awesome.
just
Thank
add to that
you.
that's what makes this university-based course different from other courses that you may take, say, at a community college, which focus just on technique and skill sets, right? But not on analysis and decision making.
Absolutely. Totally agree with that. So next question is, I know Ian answered this a little bit about taking 910 and then taking 911, but the question for Melissa, thank you for your question again, is how many courses are typically taken and at the same time? For example, CODG 101 and 102, can those be taken simultaneously? And I know Ian recommended to take 910 and then 911, but are there any other courses maybe that you can take simultaneously?
Well, you can take, we recommend that you take 2 courses per term, right? Most people don't take 3 GIS courses, but you could take your elective, or you could take 318 because they're coming out of criminology. They're not actually dealing with GIS. They're dealing with more of the background theory and such like that. So we do have people taking 101, 102, and either their elective or 318 at the same time. But I recommend that you only take two so that you can get the most out of it. I would discourage you from taking three. Now, once you've taken those two courses, you can take another two courses, any other set of courses. But as Ian said, 910 comes before 911 because 911 is an individualized project based on everything you've learned overall, including, or sorry, 911. 911 is an individualized project based on everything you've learned so far. And you need that information from the earlier courses in order to design that project. Ian brings it all together in 910, right? Adds to it, and then you take that bundle and create your own individual project. So it's not a regular class as the other courses are. It's an interaction with the instructor on an individualized project in 911. So it really does sort of stand alone, and you have to take 910 before you do that. So another good path to move quickly through, if it's available, is to take 101, 102, then maybe take the elective and take 910 as soon as you can. Okay, so if 910 is available in your second term, take 910, because then you can take 911 in your third term, and there you go. Now, when you're taking 910, or sorry, 911, the capstone course, it's okay to take, say, your elective or 318, the other mandatory course in criminology, alongside it, right? So basically, your first term 101, 102, your second term 910 and another course, and your third term 911 and another course. And that's the 6. Okay. It's not that you have to take 911 by itself, but you have to take 910 before it.
That's the best way someone could explain it. So thank you so much for doing that. But to everybody else, if you have more questions, I put my email in there. Please reach out to me and we can help you through the process. Now, I know we are at time. We'll take one last question, and it's for Travis. So while Travis answers that, I'll actually put out a last poll for us, which will help us in a little bit more feedback. But yeah, so this is the last question. Thanks, Travis, for your insights from a Hamilton Police, Toronto Police perspective. How competitive are entry-level analyst positions, and what helps candidates stand out during the hiring process?
Yeah, thanks. That's a great question. I would say that they're definitely they are very competitive. I think what stood out for me when I was going through this process and with processes with different services are there's often a test component as part of the process. So the services do want to see that you have those skills. Just having this experience with ARC is essential to even just getting to the interview stage. I think a lot of services are utilizing this. They want to see the product that you can produce. And as has been mentioned with that capstone program, like that's really preparing you for that entry process to prepare that report that you will be asked to present and prepare as just part of applying to these services. So having that experience in preparing real world data in an analytical program, making recommendations based on your findings will just make you competitive and getting you in there.
Great advice. Thank you so much. And with that, I'll provide our closing remarks. Thank you to our guest speakers today. And thank you all for taking the time out of your day to attend today's session. If you're interested in more information about the certificate, please visit our website at continuing.torontomu.ca. And if you have any other questions, you can contact me via my email at mash.chaudhry@torontomu.ca. Now the contact information is in the chat box, and you'll also receive a follow-up email with this information, the recorded session, as well as a survey within 24 to 48 hours. On behalf of the Chang School and our presenters, thank you for joining us. Have a great rest of the day.
Good evening, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.